Vi jungle is really strong right now and definitely worth picking up. She's really good for practicing the fundamentals because of her relatively simple kit, and she's pretty good at ganking and dueling. In this video we'll be looking at a 900 LP challenger Vi main and seeing what it is about their gameplay that allows them to be high elo. So the first thing we'll notice is that Vi is starting on the red buff and pathing towards topside. Now this is okay because she's counting on topside being a strong side, but when you look at the bottom lane, there's just too much setup to pass out on. Veigar and Pyke can provide incredible gank setup, and then Vi following up would make for a guaranteed gank every single time down there. So I personally would have preferred to path towards bot side here. Also, just notice how Vi just spam pinged on the map where Nidalee started. This is really important because it tells your laners where Nidalee's going, and it also sets you up to start jungle tracking. Smiting Gromp while you do your blue buff is a really solid way to speed up your clear, and just this far into the replay we can already tell that Vi wants to play around bot side because she's going for a reverse clear right now. I really like reverse clears because you have the potential to impact both sides of the map early game. It is also great for confusing the enemy team on where you are in the jungle, which can add a surprise factor to your ganks. And just notice again how Vi is pinging where Nidalee is pathing towards. This signals to the laners to ward up and be careful because Nidalee is around. And it keeps you mindful of your jungle tracking, which can help you see opportunities by looking at the map. You can see that Vex here is pushing up very far in the lane, and this is where Nidalee is likely to gank. So if I was Vi here right now, I'd be walking towards the mid lane in case there's a 2v2. But luckily her Vex does manage to pick up a solo kill there and is still relatively healthy. So if I should turn her attention towards the bottom lane instead and look for a gank because they are overextended right now. Even though Pyke is low, they should have enough CC here for Vi to get a Q on Vayne and turn this 3v2 into a 3v1. This flash might seem like a bit of a troll to you, but it's a great tactic to scare players into flashing so you can guarantee your Q landing. If I was Vi here, I would push this wave in with my bottom lane to get myself ahead and then move on to the crab afterwards. Because it's not like there's anyone here to contest it anyway. As you can see, Nidalee is fighting on the top side of the map. Vi should definitely recall here because with 6 camps and a kill, she's definitely sitting on first base gold. And there's absolutely nothing to be doing around here right now. Gromp won't spawn until around 420, and there's absolutely no way they're going to be diving 2 full health targets under tower this early. So Vi is wasting a lot of time right now. That could have been spent going to base and then coming to clear these camps out while Nidalee's still around the top side. It's generally okay to waste 10 seconds if it means you can get 2 camps, but when you're going to 30 seconds you're really starting to push it with time wasting. And just watch how much more time that this Vi wastes before finally going back to base and spending gold so they can actually have an impact on the game. Just remember, this is Challenger, so what do your games look like? This is a super common mistake that I see with a lot of people that come to me for coaching. Coming out of base, of course Vi is gonna go to the top side here because this is where her camps are spawned. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that this is a very common pattern to go back to where you started on the second clear and just keep going linearly. We know that Nidalee is on cooldown, so this is a fight we really want to take until we see Qiyana move from the mid lane. It's really important to stay map aware even during fights. It's even more important to stay map aware while you're doing your jungle clear because this is how you'll find opportunities like this one where the enemy is either overstepping or making a mistake. Vi completely whiffed her Q here. It's really important to get the wave in after a successful fight. Notice how Nidalee is showing up on the top side of the map. This signals to Vi to go counter jungle right now because that's going to be far more valuable than Dragon, which only gives you plus 25 gold and buffs that aren't really worth it until around 20 minutes into the game. Doing the Dragon here is a really big mistake from Vi. The enemy team knows that she's on it because of the ward, and if you look at the state of the map, her teammates aren't out yet and this gives the enemy bot lane a chance to get to the Dragon before Vi's own team. This is another reason why early dragons are so bad, because they take a long time to do solo and they take you down to nearly 0 HP. This situation overall would remind me of a lower elo like silver or gold, where they love to flip the game at early dragons. If I was Vi here, I'd walk towards the mid lane to catch that wave because there's just no way that Vex can stay here. I really like how Vi's getting in position for a dive here. Everybody has level 6 and you can see in the mid lane that Vex is getting priority right now, so she'd be able to move down here as well. It's really important to be patient for dives and go when the wave is at the tower. You can see this was the Veigar Pike setup that I was talking about earlier. And these kind of dives really separate high elo players from lower elo players, because lower elo players are too scared to go for dives like this, when in high elo they love to do this because they know this is how you can get ahead and snowball a game. I hope you can see why it's really important to identify which side of the map you want to play around at the start of the game. We know where everyone is on the map right now, so this is a perfect time to go look for an invade and look for Nidalee's Raptors, while our mid lane has priority and our support is around to assist. Not having top priority and seeing how Qiyana is missing from mid lane and she just showed up here, it's starting to get a bit too risky to stay in Nidalee's jungle. This play would be amazing if Vex had ulti, but Vex doesn't, so this is quite a high risk, high reward play right now, especially considering how Vi is playing around the top side, which is the weak side, as Jax is 1-4-0 and losing lane. It's quite coin flip to be playing around here when bot lane looks like such a guaranteed win condition. Everyone's gathering around the mid lane, so you've got to expect a fight in situations like this and run straight towards it. The attempt was there, but sadly Qiyana juked it out. At this stage of the game it is mid game because people are moving between lanes often, and in order to close a game out you've got to start grouping up more often. You can't just be spending all your time farming. Whenever you'll see someone applying pressure on your team, you should look to assist if you can. But of course, if someone is caught out alone versus 4 players, you should not look for that. This is just forcing as hard as possible. It makes absolutely no sense to be under the enemy's tower like this, especially when they've got a zillion. It's a little bit flippy to go for this play, but they're going to be able to one-shot someone with the combo CC. You can see just how powerful that Vi is and just how tanky she is with that just Sunderer. Vi should have enough gold for a good base here. I just don't understand why this Vi is allergic to recalling. I don't like this fight because Vi is playing on the losing side of the map and Veigar is nowhere to be seen because he's just running out of base. Nidalee is super fed and she needs to be the target that gets focused in fights. This is a really good fight to start because the whole team is coming down to group up versus these players. Really solid engage that this Vi found. Being allowed to go for plays like this is enabled by getting one lane ahead, which can create prio in the mid game, and that allows you to place wards in the enemy jungle and control it. After finding 3 kills like this with Baron up, you've got to secure that objective and look to close the game out. When you know you're ahead, you just have to engage on the enemy team as 5 and just win the 5v5. At this stage, they're definitely strong enough to just run into the enemy base and end the game, so it's gonna be over there. Hopefully you learned something, a bit of a different style from what I usually do. Let me know what you think. To be honest, I wasn't that much of a fan of it. But Arcane Vi is popular right now, so here was a Vi one.